Okay, Robotics 10 students. This video will serve as an outline of your robotics applications research project that is going to cover most of the work for 2 of your credits in this course. And I'm giving you 3 weeks to work on this assignment. I don't think it'll take you 3 weeks to complete, but you have that time in case you need it. Before we get into the details, we're going to be doing online like office hours, drop-in times where you can hop into a Google Meet with me and ask any questions you might have. Share with me your files, and I can take a look and walk you through some tips, things like that. If you just want to come in and chat and hang out and chat with some other students, talk about what you've been up to, games you've been playing, any stories you want to share, whatever. But all of that can happen in our drop-in office hours, which I'm going to schedule every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 2 until 3. So for that hour every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'll be in a Google Meet video conference, and you can hop in and ask any questions or chat or whatever. So I'll put specific instructions of how to access that in the D2L today, and maybe I'll see some of you later today or tomorrow or Thursday, and if not, then maybe next week. Let's quickly take a look at our outcomes for this year, specifically. In robotics applications, as well, Robotics 1 has the same outcomes, are these two: describe evolutions and applications of robotic systems, and describe systems and subsystems, and what those words mean within robotics applications. So the assignment that you have, you'll find it in your D2L. So if you go to our course under content and look for the robotics applications module, you'll see this assignment here, and probably you're watching this video from within this assignment posting as well. If you click into the assignment itself, you'll be able to see an attachment which brings you to a Google Doc which has all of the instructions. So I'll walk you through that document right now, but it's there for you to read as well. So essentially you're looking at the history of one type of robotic system or product. You're going to research and present the history of one of the following options. Before I go through these, you can also, if you've heard of some interesting application of robotics in the news, please just send me a message. I'll take a look, see if it's like within the scope of what we're doing here, and you're welcome to do that as well. But here are some starting points in case you don't know of any others. So the Boston Dynamics robots, very, very interesting. They do a lot of like biomimicry. So they're making robots that use some of the kinematics and ways that animals move to try and get robots to move in similar ways. So you've seen like robot dogs, that's Boston Dynamics. They've got some really interesting stuff and a really interesting company. SpaceX, we all know Elon Musk. They've got some interesting stuff to do with their rockets that are able to land themselves. Honda has been doing a lot of work with robotics, with like bipedal, like walking robots. Google's self-driving car and Waymo as well. Cleaning robots. There's a few other options in here. These are links. You can click on these, but as the document says, these links are starting points. Because what I want your presentation to cover is the following. What is the history behind the design, behind the company that is developing the robot? So who are these people? What are they doing? What's their goal? And why are they making this robot? And what is the history behind the robot itself? So what can you find about where the idea came from, or what previous versions there were, or what the purpose is? What problem are they trying to solve? Can you tell me if the robot is remote controlled or autonomous, or some mixture of the two? Basically, to what extent do humans interact with the robot? Is someone controlling every single action of it? Is someone doing no control at all? Or are humans doing some control and there's some assisted software stuff that's going on doing some of that control? what role does the robot fill that humans can't? So what is the purpose? Why do we have people working on this? And why can't humans do that instead? And then also, what features or subsystems make this robot unique? So what I mean by subsystems is, you think of a robot like, let's just think of a self-driving car. So when we're talking about subsystems, we're talking about breaking down that system into the independent components that work together. So in a self-driving car, you've got the engine itself. That's probably a subsystem. And you've also got some system that is controlling the steering. Okay, so that's probably its own subsystem. It's got some kind of motor or servo or something that is actually turning the wheels. You've probably got another subsystem that is all of the sensors. And that's probably all being handled by one central hub that is collecting data from all the sensors and interpreting that. You've also probably got a main computer that is getting information from the sensors and sending commands to the steering and to the acceleration and to the shifting, etc. So when we're talking about subsystems, we're talking about breaking things down into individual independent components. So what makes that robot unique? What are some interesting features that you can talk about? What I'm asking you to actually create for me is just some kind of nicely formatted visual document that has all of this information in it. So maybe that's a PDF, maybe that's a Google Slides presentation, maybe that's an infographic if you have taken like digital media. Maybe it's a video that you create. Whatever it is, I just want it to be at least a little bit visual. So it's not just like, I don't want your sheet of notes. Nicely formatted with all the information there, and submitted to me via D2L. So you're not going to be presenting this live. There's not much point in us doing that in this context. Just submitting to me a file, and I'll look through it and give you some feedback. You may work with a partner. That's fine. But if you are working with a partner, please also include in your document a breakdown of who contributed what. So I want to know from you and your partner if you were engaging equally in this assignment and who did what. Okay, for the most part, your marks will be the same as your partner, but if there's any egregious imbalances, we'll take a look at that on a case-by-case basis. So make sure you're including imagery. Video is great if you can find it and embed it into that slideshow or whatever. That's awesome. And as always, make sure you are citing your references. Okay, this serves two purposes. Number one, just in general, plagiarism and kind of copyright stuff. It's always good to get in the habit of citing where you're getting your information from. But also lets me know that you did some work and actually tracked down some different sources and didn't just like go to the Wikipedia page and copy that down. So make sure you include that. On the second page of this document is the rubric, very straightforward, just our language that we use all the time at JCS around assessment. So exemplary, your research is clear and shows a deep understanding of what we're talking about, and you clearly illustrate the iterative process and evolution of a robotic system. So you've told me a lot about the history. You have a deep understanding of all of this stuff. Skilled, you show clear understanding, and it effectively illustrates the process and evolution of a robotic system. Competent, effective, but not necessarily thorough, and maybe just superficially illustrates the iterative process of robot design. Basic is just your bare minimum, like basic research, not thorough understanding, not a ton of information about the evolution or iterative design process. And then developing and limited is below a pass, and so that is incomplete or missing major pieces or just not enough for me even to assess. So very straightforward, not a lot of marks to like be thrown around and averaged together. Basically just show me that you are doing the research, developing a clear and thorough understanding, and that you can communicate that as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, put a post in our private discussion, or a comment on the activity feed post on the homepage of our D2L so that others can see it if you want that. And I will get back to you as soon as I can. But again, you have 3 weeks to work on this, so no rush, take your time, but probably get started as soon as you can. And if you have a different idea of a robot that you want to study for this, please, again, just shoot me an email or a message in the private discussion, and I can take a look at that. But most likely, it's okay. All right. Have a good one.